The way sometimes we try and get management to love their IT is by showing infrastructure cost reductions, but not just that, it's also the management cost reductions. When you sit there and see all the different management touchpoints with regular solutions, when you look at the Flexpod, all of a sudden now you have a centralized management with minimal amount of touch points, and with orchestration it's even only one touch point, and that makes it way more efficient and low risk for the organization. For the Flexpod connectivity, as we see here, there's the Cisco 5000s here at the top, which are the core of the infrastructure, and then we have the network storage, which is actually the Netapp with clustered ONTAP connected with FCOE across the 5000s. Fabric interconnects are connected across the 5000s as well. VPCs for Ethernet and directly connected up for FCOE, or if you want to go with native fiber channel. UCSs are connected with FCOE up to the fabric interconnects. And then the fabric extenders are connected into the fabric interconnects. All that has the ability to sit there and reduce the connectivity and make things a little bit easier to troubleshoot, but also easier to expand. So if I was to add yet another chassis in this case, I would simply connect it up to the fabric interconnects. If you sit there and look at the connectivity with Flexpod, one thing to note is that the simplicity of cabling, which is done with FCOE. And the easiest way to think about that is in the audio video world, we had this. So we had, your RGBs, your left, right, and your video. This was changed now with the new HDMI. With HDMI, now you have sound and video running through one set of cables. The same thing was actually accomplished within the Flexpod environment with FCOE. And that's what makes it nice and simple, straightforward, and something which is very, very easy to troubleshoot. With the Cisco UCS and Netapp architecture, you actually have a very simplistic management approach, meaning you have limited touch points. In this case, you can actually see that the Cisco UCS chassis are connected to the fabric interconnects. And if I was to sit there and add another chassis into the mix, you'll see that the touch points are still remaining the same, because the management of the UCS, for instance, happens in the fabric interconnects. The touch points occur on the actual cluster as a whole, not the individual nodes. So as I even scale more nodes, I would actually not have any added touch points. It would all be managed still as the whole cluster, as a whole unit. If I sit there and look at the blade down here to try and go across chassis to this blade, or blade to blade within the same chassis, the latency will always be consistent. It will always be the same because it's one hop away. Even to this stack over here, it's only going to be one hop away. If I had storage, the communication of this blade or that blade down to the storage would again be just one hop away, which is so important. When you have Oracle and you have SAP, a lot of times businesses are going to be focusing on putting SLAs against those applications. And when you do that, having consistent latency is going to be very important as part of that SLA. One thing that people often ask is in regards to, well, do I have to do a forklift upgrade in regards to my infrastructure to try and go to Flexpod? And the reality is no, you don't have to. As you can see here, you can actually go with your existing environment. So let's say you do have a Cisco Nexus in your environment. At some later time, you can actually introduce the unified computing system, which is the Cisco UCS. And then at a later time after that, you can add the Netapp backend storage to all of a sudden give you that Flexpod. But as you sit there and incorporate the different components, it makes it very, very easy to manage, because now you're starting to leverage those APIs, those shared APIs between the manufacturers. It's going to be able to sit there and provide something which is going to be very, very scalable, something that can go from, just a couple of virtual machines up to 50,000 virtual machines, for instance, something that can scale in I/O from, maybe a couple of thousand IOPS to hundreds of thousands of IOPS, even up to a million IOPS. That's what it provides, is consistency. You can grow into it piece by piece by piece and build on the strength of the APIs between the manufacturers. So if I sit there and look at Netapp and its APIs that can leverage into VMware, I can start leveraging those right away. When I get the Cisco UCS, I can start leveraging those. And same thing with the Nexus family. So it really, really allows a company to be able to use these building blocks. All of a sudden you get the best of breed in regards to virtualization, you get the best of breed in storage, and you get the best of breed from the Cisco platform for computing and network infrastructure. That's the big benefit of Flexpod.